is a plaything when you are caught in the devil's hand. The devil is a plaything when you are caught in the devil's hand. The devil is a plaything when you are caught in the devil's hand. The devil's hand.
Greetings to you. Although the Wads are the use of tool with mind control gangs in Iraq and with their leader who made himself a prophet, I just want to add information to you only, and it is something that I think is absolutely unusual. This also benefits victims of mind control in Iraq and reveals to them who is responsible for what it also happened to them. It is a scandal unparalleled in all history, and I will call it the eighth miracle. It is something that I describe to you. It is difficult for anyone to believe it. First, God alone is the unseen, and this exists in all the heavenly religions as well. I want to define myself so the true one in Iraq does stops anything or falsifying any capacity for me. I am just a very simple citizen in Iraq, very poor, and I have no organization at all in Iraq, and I am not a tribal leader, nor do I work for intelligence, security, politics, or government, and there is no position for me in Iraq with anything, and I am not a religious leader, and I have no followers. I represent myself only in Iraq, and by this I am absolutely not responsible for those who interpret such a topic as if it was, for example, or that it is a competition with the gang about whom I spread such a scandal. First, there is nothing in common with them, nor am I from them at all, and I do not work with their heirs absolutely, and I consider all of them a fraud and fraud. That is, I do not want to drop a party or person in order to take its place, but rather I want to drop them all without return and nothing called a change. This organization of Satan has sentenced itself to death here, and it struck France and Belgium, so that it became impossible for it to remain in any way or believe. The games have the devil's leader or the subordinate branches or elements of the ones who did this on any basis that he has half good. This game in which he escapes every time while his brethren is one demon all, and this devil made it true God. One at, and the thief is both in one family, and he is responsible for them according to what lies and says that it is good and evil, while all of them are only evil, and there does evil himself. And then it is the thieves who grow up, and both of them are the ones who lead them, and they both know the same law, the same record, the same elements of the homosexual security agent, and after this we have thieves stealing something that stops the doll's head called the gods with the ostrich game. They search underground for the thieves while they are with them, and it is more funny that this demon leader of this gang refuses to hold the thieves accountable from any side except those who are their own eyes in order to be gods, in order to ensure that nothing happens to these thieves who were the one who gave them orders to steal. In this game is like a joke that says that the thief refused to be held accountable by the law and said that he wants a slave or father or a brother who can hold him accountable only in Iraq. This is the game of destruction that this devil has been playing with for 13 years in Iraq. Important. This is only an introduction. Now we come to the main issue, which is the scandal of all centuries, not one century, but not. I think that something will resemble it. It is a house in central Iraq in the province of Diwania in the district of Afaq, and it is a dirty, shabby house. No one can expect that this house is the center of the destruction of all of Iraq, and even a lot of harm came out of it. This house is completely protected by the elements of Satan, but everyone who comes for this house, he must have orders for this, too, every foreign internet connection, as it is completely under control. Of course, this house is more important than the Republican Palace 1,000 times, even more important than everything in Iraq, because all the governments or all of Iraq's policy. 2 Act. It is issued from in Iraq that an aircraft fly in an unusual way. Also everyone who lives in this person who owns a position and also follows all household expenses are paid by the devil. Also everything in it symbolizes something, for example a bread oven, and this is very important, or cooking oven, or gas bottle, tools, devices, or anything else. Also everyone in this house knows about the unseen other than God as well. They are the ones who control electricity, his generator, and everything. Of course, Satan, who made himself a prophet, is the one who built this house. Also has a wife pregnant with her homosexual. Also weapons for mind control and microwave waves concentrated to a large degree. Of course, Satan has a gang that has branches all over Iraq, and all these branches consider this dirty house as if it is the all cover with Muslims. This house is considered by the gang as if it is a big thing. All its branches inside are controlled from this cussed house, that all the dirty laws and the unseen game other than God have been formulated. Of course, from this house, all the basic elements in this gang are present in this house, and it has someone to represent it. Believe me, it is much more important than the Republican palace in Iraq. It is something that cannot be believed about unparalleled efforts have been made to report this unfortunate house, but nothing has ever happened to it. Nobody in all parts of Iraq has even to think about doing something against it. There is also a game of gambling, acting and betting in this house. Rather, they are things that symbolize elements or entities, for example a person who puts slippers, shoes, some type of food, a fan, a television, a radio, or even a garbage container, as they symbolize one of the thieves of this organization, the gas bottle, or other trivial things, and even the toilet or bathroom. 3. At any bathroom or any papers that seem normal but represent something according to the traditions of this gang and all its filthy branches in Iraq are completely in agreement on this constitution of this gang, and they contradict God and do not violate this constitution, and they all know about these laws. You also find 4 groups, which are west, north, east and south. They are items from this house.
يعيشون حياة الجاهلية المظلمة، يصنعون بأيديهم أصناما يرفعونها حول الكعبة ثم يعبدونها من دون الله.
نحن غرباء عكن إليك عانية عبادك اليمانية كيما نحك الثانية. نحن غرباء نحن غرباء نحن غرباء عكن إليك عانية عبادك اليمانية كيما نحك الثانية. نحن غرباء عكن إليك عانية لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. الحمد لك وشكر لك وكلنا نخضع لك. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. الحمد لك وشكر لك وكلنا نخضع لك. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. الحمد لك والشكر لك وكلنا نخضع لك. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك لا هم هبل.
يعيشون حياة الجاهلية المظلمة، يصنعون بأيديهم أصناما يرفعونها حول الكعبة ثم يعبدونها من دون الله.
نحن غرباء عكن إليك عانية عبادك اليمانية كيما نحك الثانية. نحن غرباء نحن غرباء نحن غرباء عكن إليك عانية عبادك اليمانية كيما نحك الثانية. نحن غرباء عكن إليك عانية لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. الحمد لك وشكر لك وكلنا نخضع لك. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل. الحمد لك وشكر لك وكلنا نخضع لك. لبيك لا هم هبل لبيك يحدون الأمل.
نبي غيري وها هي الأرض قد خلصت لي وأصبحت ملكي بعد وبين محمد.
لا نبي إلا مسيلمة لا نبي إلا مسيلمة لا رسول إلا مسيلمة لا
at. Now look at this archaeological area in Iraq, which is a region of the monuments of Nifra in Iraq, which is an ancient area and the temple of the coronation of leaders at the time, so that any commander does not receive a position except if he is baptized in this place.
أي ملك بتأييد شعبه في بلاد ما بين النهرين ما لم يعمد في ماء نهر الإله النيل رب السومريين الذي سكن مدينة نيبور في محافظة الديوانية ليتم اختيار الموقع من قبل اليونسكو ويدرج على لائحة التراث العالمي.
6. Now we return to the main issue, because this house of Satan is also a place that governs Iraq, and any person outside this house will become outside the government and will not get anything. Also the game of the government and the people and whoever represents them in this house, the government and the opposition and prove in the same house, and Satan controls proof of them. Also we find a dirty game. Another is the division of society into adults and to young people or homosexuals, and both of them also led by the devil. Here there is an electricity game, and he is a despicable person from this gang, and in this house to become a leader of the adults, and to the other end we find his generate to his electricity. He is a homosexual security agent, and he is also a terrorist thief from the gang. On the house, and he has someone who represents him in the case of his filthy partner, electricity for 13 years, and this devil plays with such tricks and destroyed everything. Of course, this house is cornering itself in everything, for example in security or politics, government and non-government, as well as Iraq's foreign policy. And other important note I want to reveal to you it is that the United States of America, the coalition countries, the countries of Europe and theirs have absolutely nothing to do with this house or any of the branches of this organization throughout Iraq. They are an organization, terrorist outlaw, and given that she is the one who leads Iraq under the shadow, that is why no one can punish them in Iraq, but rather they are the ones who punish others. It is the tricks of a devil who made himself a prophet and made his organization rule Iraq, but even those who are against it, so he appointed them with this position, and they are members of the same organization, they know by the same law and the same record by their sin, that it is an indescribable catastrophe of a dirty demon leading Iraq. There is another important thing, which is the attempt of this devil to get away from what he did, and it is the game of the victims of choice who tries to throw responsibility on others by playing his dirtiness. 7. And it is that he invented a lie saying that the Holy Spirit hinted there isn't, that is why they became aware of the unseen, and then he made himself as a hidden secretary. No one knows who he is while he lied and said that the victims of the choice are the leadership of this terror organization. For them, as he is just a secretary or person who is obligated to transmit orders from them to the rest of the gang members, also as when he registers members who also say that they are orders from them, or when he expels one of them or chooses elements from them, and so on. Of course, no one asked him what his relationship is with the Holy Spirit. Is the Son of God a translator for it? For example, a God in a God, etc. Why is it constant while groups among the victims of choice are changed or killed one by one while the one approaches him? Of course, he is a demon of terror, and he is the leader of this gang and not a secretary or God in at all. This devil, or shoe, just does not belong to it. They absolutely do not know anything about such an organization that has huge funds and loves all of Iraq as well. He lost his body while the victims of choice lost everything. Of course, no one admits them all by any what they say. Of course, even if the victims knew that this Satan, the terrorist spy, exploits their wares and made them lead an organization that has enormous potential or security or has influence in government and politics and other things, they will not get any something, because it is just a lie also. They do not have followers, imitators, followers, no or quota. Rather, their moral position in this gang is that they are only victims and they are not a party to it at all. Our partners in it or it is theirs, and there are those who compete with them over it. 8. The victims of choice are nothing but the devil is trying to make them escape from, and he hides himself while he is the one who gives orders to all the gang members to spread his lie that the victim of choice is the leader or director. Of course, this is a very exposed behavior, but unfortunately it deceived many fools, and the reason it is that we are in Iraq, even a person who has some money, he will not put a loudspeaker and say that he also has money. Even the officials, they do not announce themselves here. How do many know that the victim of choice is the director of an organization that has huge funds and influence, etc., while the person who made himself a secretary, he hides himself, and he is the one who gave orders to all his members to take orders from him? Only here he was the one who gave them orders to kill the selection victims, and they were doing this, so then how would this be a secretary from or a deputy or a guardian also if, for example, one of the selection victims knew something like this and asked to change all laws including the unseen and others, but this spy will not execute and will not transmit it at all because it will make the lie become a reality and the victim of choice becomes the leader, and this of course is impossible until this devil gets mad and he is the one who created such a stick father to himself to spread destruction and evil, and he cannot give it to a victim of choice that he has chosen from fools, gullible simple people, others who want to destroy them or take revenge on them. I mean, he considers them just donkeys that he uses as a scapegoat for him. Only escaping or eating themselves early and without even one of them thinking of responding to what the gang did with him. I mean, I noticed his fuss in Iraq, which is exactly like when kidnapping gangs kidnap someone and then set conditions to release him, for example money. 9 and others also. This gang is the same thing, as it imposes conditions on the victims, such as the deadline for leaving them, for example, giving up the gang, leaving the position in it, giving it, or, for example, making the victim good in the way of whom he wants, as if he disagrees, they will return to him, for example if he smokes a cigarette, for example, they will return or eat sweets or other types of foods that change whenever he adheres to them or impose, for example, that he must leave the place where he lives, but if he does, they will not abide as if it is a state of war and the victim is a defeated party and they are the ones who dictate to him all the conditions, no matter how unjust they are. No one holds them accountable. I mean, for example, how does the victim give up a position in this gang from when does she have a position and is just a victim only, or how she gives something that she has no power over and was not in her hand. Battery gang's tricks. From all this I want to reveal to everyone that the victims of choice are a scarecrow or scapegoat only, or pillar on which a camera has been placed, or something similar to the film of the end of days in our country. A prince only, the only tricks in which the cussed devil tries to continue this makes himself merely a guardian, or interpreter of the Holy Spirit, and we wonders who such a sample except that there is this Satan who said that the Holy Spirit does not speak with anyone except with him. It is only more funny that if the victim of the choice was a friend of America, for example, that all the decisions that the devil makes are against America and he says that they are the orders of the Holy Spirit. 10 the leader of a terrorist gang working against America. It is more funny that this devil terrorist charlatan does not take words that are not bland, meaning when the victim says that America is a friend, the devil, the interpreter of the Holy Spirit, claims that these words are not from the Spirit, while he invents dirty tricks in order to transmit decisions, for example, making those who about the victim, they are the ones who decide or say things he wants here. All the tricks of Satan have been exposed, and he is responsible for this scandal, which is the house of Satan, and he is the one who registered those in it and gave them positions or other things, and this devil is a cussed terrorist epidemic. And he thinks that Iraq is a safe haven for him and he will continue to steal Iraqi money to finance terrorism against Europe and America, or he thinks that his lie that he is a prophet will remain.
I won't stop now. Sir! 10 years of fighting. 5 years I fought him myself. I nearly had him. Sir! I was that close to killing Mao Tian. Then this arrow.
Yes,